The reading that I'm going to do today is about sadness. I had a message earlier today from a friend of mine who was asking if I was feeling sad. And she was wondering if her sadness was her own personal sadness or if it was like part of a collective sadness, because the collective energy is really, really strong at the moment. You know, I'm recording this in 2020, and it's like kind of the middle of May. I think it's the 20th of May today, or the 21st even. And so we've all been through quite a lot as a population, as a world population, and over the past months, and our lives have changed quite a lot. And so we've felt and faced emotions that we haven't felt previously, or we felt stronger variants of those emotions than we felt recently. So we've experienced sadness before, but maybe our sadness has been deeper or more profound. Maybe it's literally made us drop to our knees and we haven't actually been able to do anything else for the rest of the day because it was so intense. And that's because we're not just feeling our own emotions a lot of the time, we're feeling the collective energy. And that's happened previously, especially for sensitive people, when like big things have happened in the world. And maybe we've been aware of them and maybe we haven't. I think it's really useful when you're feeling angry or stressed or tired or overwhelmed or sad or whatever, to question what is going on in my country today, and then on a larger scale in the world today, and see if anything big has happened, because maybe what you're feeling isn't yours, maybe it belongs to a larger group of people. And then if something's going on, you can understand it better, and maybe you can then sit back and work out, why is it triggering me so badly? Why is this sadness making me feel so sad? Because the sadness that you're feeling might not just be the collective sadness. It might be a sadness within yourself about some loss of innocence, some loss of joy, some loss of happiness, some bereavement that happened somewhere in your life where you lost something that was precious to you, or where you've had to sacrifice something and change course because of life circumstances. And so now you're not on the path that you were on before, and you're not quite sure of who you are supposed to be and what your path is these days. And all of these things can like trigger us and cause us to react more deeply to what's going on outside. So I thought I would do a reading asking what is the source of my sadness, so that we can try and figure out, is this sadness ours, is it mine, or is it is it yours, does it belong to everybody? And then you can apply that same way of looking at things to anything that you then encounter in the future. So if you wake up tomorrow and instead of feeling sad, you're feeling angry, you can then pick up your own deck of cards if you have them, or an oracle deck, or whatever you have at hand, and you can pull a card and you can ask it and see what comes up for you. And if it doesn't give you the exact answer that you want or you need, at least it can give you some clarity, a starting point from and then you can work from there. Other things that you can utilize if you're experiencing strong emotions are you can do meditation, you can do yoga nidra. These things, like yoga nidra, is amazing for when you're feeling anything too intensely. It's just like the biggest time out, but in the form of like a spiritual hug. It's really, really rejuvenating. Or maybe spend some time on the mat and do a bit of yoga. That can also be really rejuvenating. It can just like kind of shift your focus from outside to inside, but in a healthier way, not in a kind of thoughts circling and ruminating. You could also make yourself a healing tea, so not a kind of like cozy indulgent tea with caffeine and milk or a milk alternative and sweetener, but a tea with fresh herbs, or a tea, from a herbal tea bag, and make yourself an infusion and steep it for, a good 15 minutes. Maybe add some ginger or some turmeric to it, to just nurture yourself, nurture that center part of yourself. You could also make yourself a green smoothie, and again add some fresh herbs, and maybe, if you have them, some green powders as well. Take some extra vitamins, if you're feeling down or you're feeling stressed, you're feeling like you're not coping emotionally, maybe you need to look in your vitamin cabinet and see what's in there that might possibly help you. Or essential oils as well. Essential oils are amazing for mood regulation, so if you're into essential oils and you have them, then figure out what scent lifts you up today, and then either apply it to your body in a carrier oil, or put it in a diffuser or a burner and have it just like around you and lifting you up. Or take a long hot bath and put some oils in there, making sure they're oils that are okay for use in the bath, because not all oils are. Some of them can burn, so do your research first. But these are things you can do to kind of like help shift your mood, along with whatever the cards suggest. So I'm going to start now with the reading, shuffling the cards. Just clearing the energy out of the deck. This deck gets a lot of use. We're good friends, this deck and I. Okay. First card that came out. Okay, so we got 3 cards in the end instead of 2. 2 flew out at once. So the first card is the 7 of Swords. So that's the image there of the 7 of Swords. So the first thing that strikes me is this is a very yellow card. Yeah, it's like the ground is kind of a yellowy brown, the background, even like the kind of like the hills or whatever, are kind of like an orangey yellowy brown, and the actual sky is an orange. And then the character, the man in this picture, is also, he's dressed in, he has like kind of like browny orange boots, and he has like a yellow and red tunic. So a lot of kind of like yellowy orangey colors here. And then we have his tights, which are blue. So color wise, and the swords are also kind of like a silvery blue color, and in the background there's quite a lot of blue as well, in the tents and in the clouds. So if we look at this card, like the colors that jump out at us are yellow, blue, and maybe a bit of like red. So it's about intuition, it's about your gut feeling about things, and it's also about your voice, about your throat, about your truth. And the character in this card looks kind of confident and kind of happy. It's like he's carrying 5 swords, and they look like they're quite heavy. So if you were carrying 5 swords and they were like made out of metal and they were that heavy, you probably wouldn't be looking that happy. But this character is really happy. It's like he's happy to be carrying these things. And there's 2 left behind, and he's looking back at them, eager to pick them up and carry them along with him as well. And so I think what this is trying to say is that you're slowly collecting your truth together. Yeah, so if we think of the swords are to do with the mind and the brain and the intellect and, you know, the higher consciousness and like air and everything, and swords are sharp and swords can hurt and wound, and so it's like your voice, yeah, is your power in this respect, yeah, and your voice can hurt and your voice can heal and your voice can lie and your voice can reveal, and in this instance the man in the card is really working on owning his truth, yeah, owning his authentic truth, what is real to him, and he's slowly collecting up his swords, yeah, so he has like 7 pillars of his truth, yeah, 7 main focuses of his truth, and he's slowly collecting them up and carrying them off, and he looks really happy. It's almost like, you know, like he grew up in this town where, you know, there's like tents there, yes, it's almost like a circus or it's a settlement or something, yeah? And it's almost like in the background, and then there are like people like cooking around a fire or something in the background. So it's like, it's where he came from, it's where he grew up, and he's picking up these swords and he's carrying them off, and you can almost look at this card and think it almost looks like he's snuck into this camp and he's stealing these swords and carrying them off, but perhaps it's like he's sacrificed his truth for so many years and he's not been able to carry it or hold it or speak it, and now he's finally feeling empowered enough to go back and collect his truth and to stand behind it and to speak it out loud, and he's feeling really, really good about that, yeah, really kind of confident, yeah, but he looks a bit overly confident, really. He looks a bit like, you know, like if you get asked to do something for somebody, for example, at work perhaps, and it's something that you haven't done before, maybe something you don't have a clue how to do, but someone says, hey Sarah, can you can you write this article up for me please, because I need to present it to so and so tomorrow and I just don't have enough time to do it. Is that okay? You know, are you able to do that? Do you know what to do? And you go, yeah, sure, I'll do that for you, no problems. And you take it on, and then once they've disappeared and you look all confident and happy, and you know, and then once they've disappeared, that kind of like fake mask of like, yeah, I can do that, disappears, and you're like, oh yikes, I don't know how to do that, and you go into panic, and then you're like, and you have to figure it out. So maybe this character is just like kind of like he's really confident right now and he's picking up all of these swords and he's owning his truth, but he hasn't really thought about the weight of these swords, yeah, and about how maybe he's not capable of carrying them all at once, and maybe he's moving too quickly, and so maybe it's like too much truth all at once, yeah, maybe it's too much truth coming into his mind all at once, with the information that he's collecting, or maybe it's too much truth he's trying to speak all at once, yeah. But it's like, it's just too much truth coming in, yeah, and they're sharp. These swords are sharp, and they're like, and they're gonna end up hurting him if he's not careful, yeah. I mean, like, he's carrying them in his bare hands, these swords, and they're sharp, and so, you know, he's gonna get cuts all over his hands if he's not careful. So we have to question what's going on in this card in relation to the sadness that we're feeling and the climate that we're living in right now today. And so I would say in that respect that given what's happening in the world today, this card is kind of saying that you're moving too quickly and you think you're capable of moving that quickly and holding that much truth, yeah, so you're like doing your research, you're reading the news, you're on social media, you're listening to things, you're speaking to people, and you're collecting all of this information, all of these truths, yeah, whether they're like correct truths or incorrect truths, you're collecting all of these truths from different people, because as far as everybody who's speaking is concerned, what they are saying is their truth. So you're collecting it as a truth, you're collecting it as a truth, and you're carrying them, all of these different truths. And there's so much information all at once, and you've never had to hold this much information before about so many different things and so many different alternatives and scenarios and ideas about the whole thing and what it could be and couldn't be and what the solution is, and where we are now and what's going on with individuals and different countries and everything. It's just so much to have to carry, so much to have to process, yeah. And so you've been going at it recently quite confidently, quite fast, believing that you're capable of taking it all in and carrying it, and shouldering that burden, yeah. And so this card is saying that perhaps that is the source of your sadness, yeah, that you're just trying to absorb too much and you're not taking it slowly and being gentle with yourself. And the key is to trust your intuition when it comes to the truth, to trust your intuition when it comes to your truth, speaking your truth, holding your truth, giving space to your truth. And to kind of understand that a lot of these truths that you are taking are like they're coming from someone else's camp. Yeah, they're not necessarily from your camp. It's someone else's camp that you are sneaking into or kind of visiting for a day, yeah, but it's not your house, it's not your home, it's not your camp. So ultimately they're not your swords. The next card that came up was the strength card. So that's moving towards a solution, yeah. So what can I do now to help myself deal with my sadness, process my sadness, not be so susceptible to sadness? So we've established that the sadness is part of the collective sadness, what's going on in the world at the moment, not necessarily just today, but overall within the past few months. And it's also your reaction to that sadness, that situation, and your decision to navigate it in a certain way. So you've chosen to navigate that sadness in a certain way. You've chosen to collect information in a certain way, and that's what's caused your sadness. And then this card is the solution, and it's basically saying the solution to dealing with that sadness is strength. Yeah, you need strength. You need to work towards taming the beast. Yeah, the beast of knowledge, the beast of the media, the beast of the word that's going on all around you out there, the noise, yeah. And it's like you need to tame that lion, and be peaceful in its presence. Come from a heart-centered space, combined with intuition, but don't become its victim or its bitch, yeah. So you are not at that lion's beck and call. You do not have to cower in a corner either, hiding from that lion, yeah. That lion is tameable. That lion can be your friend, yeah. So like what's going on around you, the situation, it is tameable and it is befriendable, because it's all about your perspective, how you look at it, how you view it, how you respond and react to it. And if you choose not to partake of the mainstream news, then you are choosing not to sink into fear and to be manipulated in that way, in the way that they want you to be manipulated. You're choosing to have your own opinion on it and to work it out on your own. If you choose to get your information off social media and podcasts and videos that various people that you respect, and the key word here is respect, people that you know from before this, even people that you have followed, who you think and believe are sensible and know what they're talking about in other matters, people who do their research properly, who are grounded, who love people, people who care about you. If you get your information from those people, but people with experience and knowledge, people who have done their research, not just other people like friends or whatever who've just watched a bit of the news and then they're regurgitating it. That's probably not going to be that helpful, but depending on the people in your life. I mean, some of those people might be really grounded and really useful, but in general, people like to dramatize things, and so it makes a good story, and you don't want to get swept up in that, because that is a beast, and you want to make this beast into a pet. So in order to make this beast into a pet, you need to understand it from a higher perspective. So let's not think about this virus as like a plague on man, and something that's come out of a laboratory, and maybe it was released on purpose as part of germ warfare. Let's not go down that road for now, because it's scary and it disempowers us, and that is, whether it's true or not, that is befriending that beast in a negative way. That's kind of being a bitch to that beast. It's like, oh, okay, that beast now owns you. And it's fear. It's a fear-based story as well. Like on both ends of the spectrum, the stories are fear-based, and we want to be somewhere in the middle. So maybe just trust that there is a higher power. Maybe put your faith in God, and believe that things happen for a reason, and that this happened and is happening because the world needed a break. The planet needed healing. People needed to change their thoughts, their opinions, their behaviors, the way they treat each other, the way the whole system works, where everyone's working so hard and no one has any time to relax, and no one has any money, even though they're working so hard. All of these things needed to shift, needed to change. And you can view this whole situation as the way of doing that. Like tough love. It's tough love. It's not soft love. It's not gentle and easy love. It's not necessarily the kind of love that we'd asked for if we were putting up our hand and going, hey, can you help me sort my life out? But love from the universe really is. Love from the universe is, it's not fuzzy. It's just, it's a solution, but it's not wrapped up in paper and covered in gold sparkles. It's uncomfortable. It needs sacrifice from us. It needs us to change, to release control, to surrender, and all of these things are deeply, deeply uncomfortable. But it's like, but you can get through this, and you can feel okay with all of the chaos and the uncertainty that is going on right now around us, around you, if you befriend the beast, the story. So befriend the narrative, Make it your own. Turn it into something, some kind of story that works for you, like I just did. I just created a story for you as my reading, and that's a much easier to digest narrative. But you can create any narrative that you want, because it's different for all of us, and that's just my narrative for you right now in this situation. But you can adapt it, you can mold it to suit you. It's your bedtime story. So make it the bedtime story that you would like to read and go to sleep on, and then that beast will become a source of strength to you and not weakness. And then when you do pick up these swords, you'll be better able to carry them, because you'll be viewing them through these eyes and not these eyes. And then, like, moving forwards into the future with the last card, the card is the Queen of Swords. So it's basically, simply put, make the truth your bitch. Yeah, it's like she is the queen of truth. She is the queen of not sugarcoating it. She speaks her truth, and she doesn't apologize for it, and she doesn't hide from it. It's her truth. Why should she apologize for speaking the truth? She believes in it. She's not hurting anybody. She's not trying to hurt anybody. She might be accidentally hurting people by not sugarcoating it, by not mixing in a bit of cups into the equation. But she's setting out to set people free. That is her mission. That is her goal. And her intention is of the highest good. So your first step, moving like into the future, once you've gathered your strength together, once you've made the story your own, is to then re-embrace the sword, yeah, as the queen. So you're way further along the equation. If a 7 is like back here, and then we've got 8, 9, 10, you know, we've got all of that to go through until we get to the queen. So you've skipped miles ahead in that respect by working the strength card, and then you become the queen, and she is sitting on her throne of truth. She speaks her truth. It flows into her. It flows through her. It is peaceful. It is grounded. It's channeled. It's guided. She's just there. Yeah, it's like she's confident. She's calm. She can do anything. This woman can do anything. And I think that's the thing to focus on. It's like once you master the beast, once you make the narrative your own, then you can do anything. Then you have a throne. Then your truth is your own. You can speak your truth in whatever way works for you, and you can set your sights on whatever goal works for you, because you're peaceful in your throne and you know your truth, and it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks or says. Nobody can take that away from you. Yeah, nobody can like kick you off your throne now. You're comfortably there. So that is the reading about the sadness and how to deal with that sadness. But you can also apply that reading to any other emotion that you might be feeling right now in regards to the current situation. And I think the main point of this reading is this card, and about making that narrative your own and befriending the beast. So not to be a victim, yeah, not to be dominated by it, but instead to stand on your own 2 feet, to stand up and to be strong and to believe in your own personal power. I think that this current situation has called into question our personal power. A lot of us have like questioned our personal power, how much we do and don't have, because our freedom's been taken away from us. I mean, we've been told you have to be at home, you can't go out, and you know, we've been in quarantine for quite some time now, but it was like 2 months really strictly, and then it's lessened over the last like kind of week or so. So it's about re-establishing your own sense of identity and power and freedom, and then from there you will feel stronger again. And when you feel stronger and when you control the narrative, then the sadness or the fear or the anger, whatever it is that you're feeling, won't have so much power over you.